Hello everybody and welcome back to another video for the day. We are heading back into r/AmITheDevil because sometimes people do horrendous stuff and they're the only one in the room that not realize it. But if you guys would love to be absolutely amazing, show your support and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on them notifications. Also, if you guys would like to save 10% on your next order of gamer subs, use code Tommy at checkout, or click the link down below. It automatically applies the discount to your transaction, and it helps support the channel. Am I the a-hole for not borrowing a phone to text my wife when I was going to be late from a work event? Part of my work involves entertaining clients and partners. For the most part, these things happen during work hours, except when I am traveling, and then about every other month, I will have something that is in the evening. Last night, I had a dinner with several people that were in from an out-of-town place. After a day of running around a bit, at dinner, I realized my phone was below 10% charge. I was texting with my wife at around 8:30, I expected to be home by 11, and I let her know that my phone was on low battery and was going to die. After dinner at around 10 p.m. with a dead phone, there was interest in going to play pool. So we walked to a bar and played some pool. It ended up being a later night than I ended up leaving at 12:30. My wife is usually in bed by 9:30, so I generally assume that the difference between 11 and 1 to her isn't important. I certainly could have borrowed my boss's phone to text her, but it didn't seem like something that was needed. I put my phone on the charger on the 25-minute drive home, but as the battery was fully dead, it took a bit before it could power it on, and honestly wasn't a priority, so I just assumed that my wife would be asleep, and I didn't have any missed calls or texts from my wife when I did power it on. When I got home, my wife was very angry and demanded I sleep in the guest room. I politely declined, brushed my teeth, and listened to her call me drunk, cheat, a-hole, and didn't engage, as I didn't think it would be productive. Some context is that about 2 years ago, I also had a late night with a client. Though my phone had power and I was playing pool at my office, the GPS tracking on my phone put my phone in the alley. At the time, I didn't have exceptions for D&D on my phone, which turned on automatically at 11 p.m. So when she called, I didn't see it, and my phone was plugged into a speaker playing music, so it wasn't in my pocket. With the GPS showing me in the alley, my wife called the cops. Overall, I will admit the situation there gave no indication when I was going to be home, and had a charged phone, which I wasn't responding to, so I certainly felt like the a-hole in that situation, and apologized profusely. The situation felt a bit different, and I don't feel that my actions last night were unreasonable, but happy to take to the internet to get an opinion. The question here is, am I the a-hole for assuming that being 2 hours late was acceptable without any notice, or is the expectation that borrowing a phone to text that I was going to be late? Update. On the guise of having dinner to discuss, my wife served me divorce papers. This came out of nowhere, and I have no idea what could have possibly caused this. Or we have a good dinner. I apologize for not giving space and not borrowing the phone. She apologized for the unfair name-calling and overreaction. We drank a few glasses of wine, discussed the assumptions that I made, what went through her head that built up to all of that anger. We discussed a handful of things, and both of us walked away from the situation in a good mood. So you mean to tell me you're trying to justify not doing something that probably would have taken you only 30 seconds to do, and now you're wondering why your wife is upset at you because, oh yeah, you said that you'd be home at a certain time. Oh yeah, but no, there's not much of a difference between 11 p.m. and 1 a.m. It is 3 hours difference. That is not something that is just a simple walk in the park of a time difference. But, your wife worrying for multiple hours, it's not much, don't worry. Only last time it happened, she found you in an alley, or, your phone in an alley. Oh yeah, no, that's not much. Don't worry, she'll be fine. I called my 30F boyfriend 34M poor. Is there any point in continuing the relationship? I typically dated engineers, lawyers, doctors, pharmacists, etc. And this was my first time dating a blue-collar worker or someone who made under 50K. This is one of his insecurities. He is a handyman who was fixing my toilet and sink when we met, and I found his personally funny and down-to-earth, and that's what attracted me to him. You know, saying that, but having the titles such as that also is not really filling me with confidence of you being a wonderful person. We dated for almost a year, but ultimately our lifestyles were quite different, and we see things differently. He has pointed out a few times that he wanted to cook more, wipe down glass shower doors after showering, emptying the dishwasher, etc. In general, I'm lacking in doing household chores. I am perfectly able to clean up after myself and make healthy food that doesn't require much skill. I just prefer not to do them. He bought one of those magnetic chore charts and put it on the fridge. He assigned me to clean the bathroom toilets once a week, deep clean the tub every 2 weeks, wash the bedsheet once every 2 weeks, etc. His own chores were there as well. It's divided as 1/3 on me and 2/3 on him. I told him I refuse to do any more chores than minimal cleanup after myself, since I don't technically live with him. I do stay over 5 nights a week simply because he lives closer to both of our work. He says it's to prepare when we move in together. I told him flat out I'm not doing most of those chores, and I'll be having a housekeeper coming in twice a week to maintain the home after we move in, as I currently have a housekeeper 1 to 2 times a week at my almost vacant apartment anyways. He thinks that is a giant waste of money. I told him house chores is a giant waste of time, and that time is the real currency, not money. We argued about this for hours, and I even pulled out some number for him where hiring someone saves us both money and time. It definitely ended up with me calling him poor. Specifically, I said, "You have a poor man's mentality, which is why you'll just always be poor." And he got extremely offended because he has always been sensitive about how much he makes compared to me, my friends, and my exes. Of course he's mad at me, but I'm also wondering if this relationship is worth continuing because we don't see eye to eye on money, currency, or time. Is this something we can overcome? Edit. I sat down and ran the numbers for him. I don't know why he can't wrap his head around it. 1 hour of work equals $300, and a 1-hour housekeeper is $30. If I work 2 hours, I get $600. I hire for 10 hours of housekeeping for $300. Now I gained 8 hours of freedom and $300 extra. His answer is, it's a waste of money. You could have saved $300 by not hiring a housekeeper. And FYI, only one of my relationships ended poorly. The rest were incompatibilities, relocations, kids. Okay, listen here, you dummy. You're not seeing eye to eye. You are seeing wallet to wallet. You very much are thinking poorly about this relationship. And if you think that you can insult your partner and get away with it by calling them poor because you know that word will mess with their head, that's something that is, oh, I don't know, a little bit of a red flag of sorts. You know, it's almost as if somebody who is more focused on money than anything and thinking that you making more money than somebody else makes you a better person than them is not the way to think, and nobody should want to hang out with you at frickin' all. And he is right. You'd save $300 if you just happen to, you know, take care of yourself and your house, clean up after yourself, and it might also help to not get it dirty in the first place. Am I overreacting by throwing away my fiance's dead ex-partner's things? I, 24F, and my fiancé, 25M, have been together for 2 years, engaged for a month. My fiancé had a longtime ex-girlfriend who I will call Sally for the ease of the story. Sally and my fiancé were together for 8 years, and high school sweethearts, until she had a very sudden and tragic death that I won't go into detail about for privacy. but it was very public and it was on the news. Sally was a very well-liked person in our small town, as she was your typical good church girl who volunteered and could be considered conventionally pretty. Of course, this event was tragic for my fiance's family, and I absolutely understand their grief. But I feel like I've been living in her shadow the entire time my fiance and I have been together. She was very close to his family, particularly his aunt, who won't even talk to me. They hang a stocking for her at Christmas and set a place for her, which I think is a little bit too far considering I'm here. They talk about her constantly, and my fiancé still has a lot of her things, like her art, her old books that she'd annotated, love notes. It bothers me, and I've vocalized this, but he just put everything in a closet and told me not to worry about it. My last straw was last week. We were making plans for Valentine's Day, and I wanted to go to do a market during the day. However, he said he wouldn't be available during the day since both families and him are going to visit Sally's grave and bring her flowers and valentines from the kids that she used to volunteer with, since it was her favorite holiday. She said that he would reserve a dinner table just for us at a nice restaurant and pick me up, but I told him not to bother since I just felt like an afterthought. Here's where people think that I'm the a-hole. When he was at work the next day, I went through our apartment and took down all of the pictures with her in them. I took her out of the photo albums, put all of her stuff in a box, and threw it away. When I got home, my fiance was confused, seeing all the photos gone. When I told him what I had done, he left. I called him several times, but he refused to answer. And I texted him my reasoning. He promised when he proposed that I'd be his first priority, and that she wouldn't matter anymore. I told him that he shouldn't have proposed to me if he wasn't over her. He answered the next day, saying that he is over her. He just doesn't think it's fair to pretend like she never existed. He just told me that he had been staying with his parents for a while, and that I just said that they can all think about Sally together. Words get around fast in a small town, and I have recently been bombarded with messages, and told that what I did was not okay, and that I should respect Sally's memory. But I'm tired of hearing about her. I barely talked to her. I feel like I'm going crazy. Both of my parents think I'm right, and that he needs to focus on our relationship, but I'm starting to have my doubts. So Reddit, am I overreacting? Yeah, let me try to think about this one for a second. Somebody who is genuinely loved by the community passes away very tragically, and people are trying to have a good memory of her, regardless of whether or not they were their significant other, and you're having a problem with it just because they happen to be an ex of your significant others, so you decided to throw away anything that they could remember them by. And of course your parents are going to support you because, oh, you're their darling little angel who could never do so wrong. Look, here's the thing. If your dad happened to have been somebody that everybody enjoyed and they passed away very tragically, do you think that you would be very happy about your significant other tossing out their things? No, I'm going to guess. So whatever you got coming towards you, I very much feel like is deserving. Am I the a-hole for telling my parents they ruined New Year's celebrations after they kicked my husband out over a joke? I have been married to my second husband, Mike, for 4 years now. He's a jokester and loves to crack jokes all the time. He especially liked to joke with my brother Ethan and his wife. Ethan used to be okay with it until he started complaining about Mike taking it too far with his jokes. Some context about Ethan. He and his wife couldn't have kids, so they adopted a boy, Joey, 2 years ago. Mike has been making silly, lighthearted jokes that involving Joey's biological parents as a way to mess with Ethan and his wife. I already talked to Mike, and I tell you that he 100% means no harm, and he's just trying to get them to react. So fast forward to New Year's Eve. My parents hosted a big celebratory dinner, and Ethan and his wife came. While we were eating dinner, Mike decided to tell a knock-knock joke to Ethan. He said, "Knock knock," and Ethan said, "Who's there?" Mike said, "Joey's biological parents." Then he bursted out laughing. Silence took over. Ethan's facial expressions changed. His wife called Mike an idiot, to which Mike replied, "Hey, relax, it's just a joke." An argument ensued and dinner was paused. My parents suddenly told Mike to leave, which I thought was too harsh. I tried to speak to them to get them to calm down, but Mom insisted that Mike leave. We left, and Mike was complaining the whole time about how they overreacted. I called Mom later, and she told Mike was out of line with his hurtful jokes about this touchy topic, and told me that I was wrong for defending them and saying that he was just joking. She said that he ruined New Year's for the family, but I told her it was her and Dad who ruined New Year's celebration for escalating the situation and kicking him out. I told her he could talk to them, but again, they were the ones who ruined New Year's celebration. She called me delusional for the statement and hung up. We haven't talked to them for days. I tried contacting Ethan, but no response. Don't you just love people who think that you can just throw the end of, "Oh, hee hee, haha, it was the joke," to the end of bringing up something that is very much a sensitive subject to somebody that of which you don't have any experience on what that touchy subject is. So yeah, you're a little bit of an a-hole because you decided to defend that, quote-unquote, wonderful behavior that you said was perfectly fine to bring up. But with that, that is going to have to be with the video. If you guys would love to be absolutely amazing, show your support and see more videos like this one in the near future, be sure to hit that like button, leave a comment down below to start up them wholesome internet discussions, and if you guys have not already, subscribe to the channel and turn on them notifications. And I'll be sure to see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching, and bye-bye!